our Hispanic Ku Klux Klan. Betcha and Raz 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 our Hispanic Ku Klux Klan.
Reuters is reporting, as well as New York Magazine, the Associated Press, that, there's a move to have part of Arizona become its own state, 51st state. Well, guess what? I went and looked at the organizations pushing for this, and they're going to the state legislature to try to break the state into. And it's basically a pro-Mexico racial-based enclave to allow La Reconquista, or, quote, reconquering of the Southwest that is taught in Mexican schools in Mexico and funded by the U.S. government and the Ford Foundation on record. Now, why would the traitors in the federal government want that? They want us at each other's throats. They want us fighting with each other. They want us balkanized. Why would anyone? America's certainly not perfect. The U.S. has got a lot of problems. But compared to North Korea or Mexico, I mean, those two are at the top of the list for horrible police states where nobody can be armed. The police shake you down. 30-plus thousand dead in the last few years. It is a hellhole. Why is our government pushing people that come into this country to continue this unified program that they're taught in Mexico, that the gringos are bad, get America, bring down the Southwest? Because that's what the globalists want. Bush started the North American Union. Obama, just a few months ago, signed the North American Security Perimeter. The Ottawa Citizen reported that they're going to use Mexican and Canadian troops in America and vice versa to deal with American terrorists. That's people that don't go along with this. Our countries are being merged. But the globalists don't just merge regions. They then break up sub-regions within along racial, ethnic, religious lines. And that's why it's so incredible that the Democrats demonize anyone that wants states' rights and to simply say the feds are out of control, the states have a say in the government. That's how our country was founded. Why even have states if that isn't the case? People that just want basic state sovereignty are called secessionist or terrorist. And then meanwhile, the Democrats, along with Mexican government officials that live and work in Arizona, are calling to break off the state on the border as an enclave for unfettered access to the United States. And the media is like, how cute, how wonderful, they want to break off. This is just amazing. And so I want to speak a little bit about the history of balkanization and what the British Empire and the Roman Empire before them have engaged in, and what globalism really is so people can understand what's happening. Whether you're black, white, Hispanic, whether you got blue skin, I don't care. It's what goes on in your brain that matters. Daniel Estelin reported over a decade ago that there was a move by the globalists to try to break up Canada using the French separatists. And sure, the French should be proud of their culture. The French do have a beef with some of the things that have happened with the other provinces in Canada. But the issue is, why are the multinationals trying to break up Canada? First, they merge all three countries through the SPP. Then, so that they can politically play those old unions off against each other, they break up the original subgroup. So this is a strategic operation from below and above, and the same system is now being formed with Mexico and the United States on our southern border. And it's very, very dangerous. And those that are pushing this and don't know why they were brought up with this pride of Mexico will rise and take down America, you need to understand that's not the plan. You're being used to create a political enclave that can be played off against the rest of the United States, and you will be betrayed, just like you've been betrayed by the Mexican leadership who was bought and paid for by Goldman Sachs and J.P. Morgan. Let all North Americans come together against the globalists and defeat this banking cartel that has enslaved Mexico and is in the process of enslaving the United States and Canada. This is a great game, manipulation as the British call it, and we need to be smart enough to understand what's happening and come together against globalism for the sovereignty of all our peoples and bring freedom to Mexico, America, here in the United States, and, of course, in Canada. I don't care if America down the road is 90%, quote, Hispanic, as long as the people are pro-gun, pro-private property, pro-liberty. But what's scary is these tax-free foundations have attached nationalism and racial identity, which is always very popular in humans, it's tribalism, to gun control, socialism, tyranny. And that's what makes these illegal aliens so incredibly dangerous. And they're now trying to push a secession movement that will fail this time. But the globalists are just getting started. And yes, they will use foreign troops during these breakups that are coming down the road. This has all been planned. This issue deals with one of the greatest perils that our constitutional republic faces, and that is globalism. Globalism is private megacorporations whose GDP is larger than most major countries. In fact, out of the top 100 economies in the world, more than half of them are corporations, not even nations. And these organizations have their own intelligence networks, they've studied history, they finance different political movements. And whatever the Fortune 100 is supporting, you can bet I'm going to be against it. Fortune 100 down the line gives money to anti-gun causes. Fortune 100 right down the line gives money to groups that want to break down national sovereignty. They give money to anti-family organizations. They attack every form of liberty because they want a servile, dumbed-down population. And they are vying to basically become governments in their own right. That's what the New World Order is. Now, that said, if you go and look at who funds La Raza, Mecha, and these different Hispanic organizations, it's the Fortune 100, and it's the Carnegie and Ford foundations. These are the big, mega-rich, tax-free foundations and the most powerful banks and companies in the world. Why are they funding groups who go into Hispanic communities and tell them, you're not Americans, you're Mexicans, even if you're Brazilian or Puerto Rican? It's this culture of the Southwest was stolen from Mexico, the gringos are bad, you can call your organization the Race or the Raza, you can chant Mexico, Mexico. All these different leaders can call for the Southwest to become part of Mexico, this failed terrorist narco state. It's bad for Americans to be into sovereignty and to be nationalistic, but it's okay for Hispanics to be anti-America. Well, most Hispanics are not anti-America. They want the Second Amendment. They want private property rights. They're hard-working, smart people. But at the big universities and the tax-free foundation organizations and the big corporations, they are funding this movement because they want us at each other's throats. Half of Texas is Hispanic. California, it's way over that. Hispanics are the future. And if the globalists can create racial identity and then attach that to anti-gun, anti-family, and socialism, the globalists can basically destroy the engine of this nation, and that is liberty. And it's just that simple. So we've gotten to the point where Hispanic young people will pull down American flags from post offices and run up Mexican flags. And it's the media says it's loving and good, and this is very reasonable. We see examples of Hispanic young people who can't even wear American flag shirts at San Francisco schools because the other Hispanic students see it as a threat. This is insanity. We all need to live in peace. And Hispanic Americans, white Americans, black Americans do predominantly. And this political correctness is meant to actually divide us so that the globalists can play us off against each other via divide and conquer. And that's what's happening. And so I challenge all Americans to look at who is funding Mecha and La Raza and all these organizations, to listen to Spanish-speaking radio if you can speak Spanish, or have someone interpret it for you. It's all becoming more and more racist, more and more hateful, and the average white person is just a delusional sports fan sucking their thumb and guzzling beer at night. And but they're being held up as this big enemy. And that's only so that the political class can play us off against each other, so the foreign banks can steal $27 trillion in bailout money, so they can continue to start new wars. And what's scary about the illegal aliens, once they become citizens or vote illegally, is that the vast majority vote for anti-gun legislation. They support globalism. They support socialism. And that's why it must be resisted. If we allow the big corporations and tax-free foundations to create a bizarre nationalistic movement in Mexican immigrants, who are the largest section of immigrants, around 80%, they will be used as a weapon to break down this country. We've got to reach out to these people and educate them about the larger issue. And when we are able to reach out to these folks, they are very receptive and are very politically savvy once they've seen what's happening. So it's up to us to reach out to folks.
Visit Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. When you're on the site, you can also tune in 24 hours a day to my daily radio broadcast. There's also a free iPhone app to listen to the syndicated radio show when and where you want.